She was beautiful. Jeanette Johnson was beautiful. This was my world. She was my world. She lit up any room. She brought so much love. This is a 38-year-old case. But I have faith. Anything and everything is possible.
I will drink my trail of tears. I will tell my tale of woe. I will crawl on. I will walk somehow. Then I'll come from the cold. No more waiting.
I know you've met Jaretha before, but how often do y'all stay in touch?
And since I started reinvestigating this, at least once a week we're in contact.
And it all started because of a Facebook post, right?
Yes. Back in 2017, I was pretty new to the Bureau. We had a Facebook account, and a post came up by Jaretha. She indicates in the post that her mom went missing in 1985, and the Kankakee Police Department hadn't done anything about it. So I took that personally. I told her I was gonna follow up on the case and see what we could do with it.
I'm here with Detective Logan Anderson with the Kankakee Police Department because they've asked for Co-Justice's help looking into one of their very challenging cases, the 1985 murder of a 29-year-old mother named Jeanette Johnson. The crazy and haunting thing about this case is that Jeanette Johnson's then 11-year-old daughter just barely missed being able to see the person who killed her.
August 2nd, 1985, Jeanette Johnson goes to the birthday party. She does return home early in the morning, 2:30, 3 o'clock. The kids are still up, and when they're not supposed to be, Jaretha sees her go up to the front door, hears the keys hit the door. She apparently never made it into the house. The circumstances are kind of unclear whether she drives away or somebody else drives her away, but then she's gone. Fast forward, November 24th of 85, body was located by hunters.
Jeanette's skeletal remains were discovered within months of her going missing, but she wasn't positively identified until just a few years ago with DNA analysis. That's when her case became a homicide case. But because of that lag, it ended up putting the investigation decades behind, which made it hard for them to find clues to who did this and hard to get answers for her daughter.
She's been dealing with this for approximately 38 years. I just want closure, not only for her, but for her family and her friends.
You know, you see your mom walking up to the house and then she never gets in the house. What the heck could have happened? That's got to make you crazy.
There's my favorite. Hello, Detective A. You feel my nervous heart?
Yeah, I do. 1,000 miles an hour.
Hello, beautiful.
You're really nervous. We're excited to see you.
And I'm excited to see you guys as well.
While Steve waits for us back at the station, Detective Anderson and I are going to meet Jeanette's daughter, Jaretha, who spent 35 years not knowing anything about her mother's disappearance, only to learn just 3 years ago that she really had been murdered.
As a little girl, I couldn't understand it. I always asked, where was my mom? No one had the answer. So I vowed to my grandmother that I was gonna find her and I was gonna bring her back home to us. I miss the hugs. I miss her telling us how she loved us. I miss everything about her. When Detective Anderson called me November of 2020, I walked into that conference room. He broke it down. We found Jeanette Johnson. Then he decided to start showing me my mom's remains on the pictures. All I kept saying was, yes, Lord. All I kept saying was, yes, Lord. Somebody did this to her. She didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve that. August 2nd, 1985. My mom was going to the party house, Sadie's birthday party. My auntie and my cousins at the house. My auntie told us to go upstairs and go to bed. It had to be after 11, 12 o'clock. There was a knock at the door. Lionel Thomas was at the door. He asked me, was my mom home? And I told him no, she was at the party. He said, okay, he'll be back. He left.
Lionel Thomas was Jeanette's on-again, off-again boyfriend for about 3 years. It's kind of unclear exactly what state their relationship was in the night she went missing, but we do know that they had plans to go to a concert together that following night.
Not even an hour went by and he came back again. And I let him know again she wasn't at home. Now, the last time he came and he knocked, I opened the door. He asked me, has she made it home yet? And I told him no. And he was like, okay, I'll come back and check. No more Lionel. Never came back to the house. So now, we was upstairs playing as we heard her car pull up. Almost 3 o'clock or after 3 o'clock in the morning. So as we're looking out the window, we see her like she's coming to the house. The girls took off running into my brother and I room. I dived in her bed.
Jeretha pretended to be asleep until she really fell asleep, not knowing that she had just seen her mom alive for the very last time.
So when I woke up that morning, I'm walking around the house and I'm looking for her. That's when we noticed her car. When we went to bed, her car was on the side of the house.
And now?
The car was parked in front of the house. And she don't park in front of the house.
Okay.
Her wallet was on the passenger seat. Her keys were still in the ignition. My mom smoked cigarettes. And in the ashtray, the cigarette looked like it just burned all the way out. It was just a long ash.
The fact that Jeanette's car was parked in a different spot the next morning when everybody woke up suggests that somebody brought the car back after she was probably killed and disposed of. But who would do that, and why would they do that? We're hoping that witnesses and testing the DNA underneath Jeanette's fingernails will provide an answer. Did Lionel ever come to your house that day,
No.
the day of the 3rd, saying, where's your mom?
Nope. I can't tell you why, but my grandmother always said it from day one, and she would say he was strange to her. Okay. She wouldn't allow me to have contact with Lionel. When I was 18, I don't know if she's dead or alive. And I came back into the folds of Lionel's life, and he's been there since. Like, he played the role of my dad. I call him my dad.
Right. Did you do all that because you thought maybe you could kind him into telling you the truth?
It wasn't about my mom being missing and he's the corporate. I allowed myself to get so caught up into this man, I lost focus. And I just accepted him still in my life.
It's hard to imagine what all Jeretha's gone through for the last 38 years, wondering what happened to her mother, and then in that same time period, ending up getting close to a man like a father figure that turns out to be a suspect in her mom's murder. But all we can do now is just try and figure out the truth.
I want that same man that kept me in his life, if he true is the suspect.
Right.
Why did you take her from us? And why did you keep me as a souvenir all these years? Why?
Hey, man, good to see you.
Sure.
We just met Jeretha, and you should see how much she already loves Logan. It's pretty clear that Jeanette Johnson's daughter, Jeretha, is conflicted about whether or not Lionel Thomas is involved in her mother's murder or somebody else is. Steve is joining us now as we all try to sit down and start working together to figure this out. Logan, we talked a little bit about Jeanette's case, but we didn't go into all of the details of it. You want to start from the front of the story?
Yeah, absolutely. Jeanette Johnson went missing in August of '85. She was put into the missing persons database. There was a flyer that was put out. We've got some decent reports from the time, but the people that they talked to was pretty minimal.
Okay.
So this case really isn't like any other case that we've worked on. Jeanette was killed in 1985, yet her remains were not identified until 2020. So this case didn't get the same depth of investigation as it would have if it had been identified as a homicide immediately. It doesn't mean we can't solve this case, but there's a lot we don't know.
So let's start our suspect board with Lionel Thomas. He's a local photographer.
He lived 5-6 blocks away. Lionel was in love with Jeanette. However, their relationship had ended, and he wasn't happy about it.
Anything at all about Lionel ever being abusive to Jeanette?
No, nothing.
How about overbearing or jealous?
Jealousy is clear in the letters that he was writing to her. When I started working the case, Jaretha, her daughter, was looking through some old things in the house, found several letters from Lionel Thomas to Jeanette. From the letters, it gives the impression that he's kind of watching her house. He knows, when she's coming and going.
Would you say it's borderline stalking, these letters?
Yes.
To Jet, a line or two to say how I really feel about you was hard to find. I underline this, I love you. I love you now and always.
Probably the biggest insight we have into Jeanette and Lionel's relationship are those letters that Lionel wrote to her that Jaretha happened to find several years later hidden in a suitcase. They range anywhere from showing real love to being confused about the breakup.
I still can't believe you just up and left me. You had little reason, if any, to dissolve our relationship.
To showing that he's jealous that she might be moving on.
While I was out front of your house, a burning feeling ran through me.
To real anger.
You are an evil woman with a cold heart.
It all sounds very desperate.
There is a letter that says something to the effect of, I'm sorry if I offended you by coming by your house.
That's right, which is kind of weird. You're thinking that's a CYA letter?
Yes.
There's even a letter in here that feels like it was written after Jeanette went missing, and we can't tell, is that because he really is innocent, or did he write that letter trying to throw off suspicion for whoever might find that later? Then we get to the Friday night. Altogether, 3 times he goes up to the house saying, is your mom home yet?
He's waiting at the house for her. He says that he sees a vehicle pull up. He thinks that she's in it.
What kind of car?
I think it was a blue car, light blue, yeah.
The vehicle drives away, and he tries to follow it, but loses it.
Well, that also might just be his paranoia of her, being with other men.
Either that or the car never existed.
Right.
He's just trying to throw a suspect out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's put up unknown suspect.
In '85, some friends went up to Chicago one time and were looking around, didn't really discover anything, but they said that there was a blue Granada circling the block, watching them. They thought that was weird.
Shortly after Jeanette was reported missing, there were rumors that she was observed in Chicago. And when her friends went to investigate that, they observed a blue Granada suspiciously circling around the block. We don't have much more information about this vehicle, but it does sound similar to the one Lionel reports the night that Jeanette actually went missing. Let me ask you this. When you guys find this garbage bag, it's in the grave, right, with her?
Yes.
And it's got the sweater. Is that her sweater?
We don't know.
Okay.
Because the sweater wasn't retained and nobody was shown the sweater to identify it.
So now on this one here, one Caucasian head hair brown in color. A portion of this hair shows that it has been burned. Why is the hair burned?
We don't know if it's got anything to do with her.
But if it's in the grave.
I don't know what to think about those other items that were also found in Jeanette's shallow grave. Is all that just random, unrelated trash, or is it maybe a clue to Jeanette's real killer? Okay, so as we start talking to all these people, let's try to address all these ideas or thoughts or concerns and see if we can clear up or eliminate any of them.
Sounds good.
Hello, Dr. Paneri.
Hello, how are you?
Everybody's excited to see you again.
Oh,
you remember
goodness.
everybody?
Yes, yes.
We sent off Jeanette's fingernails in the hopes of getting a DNA match to our killer. While we wait for the DNA results, our forensic pathologist is here to share her insight and hopefully give us a better understanding of Jeanette's cause of death.
In November of 1985, skeletal remains were found both scattered and in a shallow grave. On the surface, they found a partial skull, no upper or lower jaw. And then in the shallow grave, they found ribs, long bones, a right hand that still had some tissues attached. For the cause and manner of death, it's described as a probable gunshot wound, an entrance wound in the posterior left parietal, and an exit in the right temporal. That's going to be going in here and coming out right here. Unfortunately, the skull is not intact. The black are the areas that are not recovered, and that would be entirely consistent with some sort of trauma to that area. So certainly it's possible that this could be a gunshot wound.
We don't have any kind of bullet or casing or anything like that in her car out there by the grave that they found. What are the chances that you think it could have been a strangulation or a smothering?
Could there have been a component of that? Yes, but that's not going to cause your skull to be fragmented like that.
I don't think the transports are there dead in that car either.
You don't?
Probably shot on sight.
Yeah, I mean, there's no blood in the car.
I think they go park out there, they get out of the car, they're having conversation, and at some point
Shoots her out there?
He's had enough and he shoots her out there.
And the bullet was just never recovered.
Yeah.
Right.
With Jeanette's car having moved from where Jaretha saw it the night before, it's safe to assume that Jeanette rode in it with her attacker to that field where her body was found. The question is, did she get forced at gunpoint at her front doorstep and complied to protect her kids inside the house, or was she lured away by somebody she knew? Well, it's about this many names for go-sees and calls. The party people, the night of people, and all that. We could split them up and divide and conquer.
Okay.
All right, you ready to go? This case happened back in 1985, and it wasn't even looked at as a homicide initially. So if the real killer is a completely unknown suspect, we're going to need to find a brand new witness, either at the party house or in the time right after that gives us some huge new piece of information. And the person that they were looking at the hardest, Lionel Thomas, his statement from back then is one paragraph. So it's not like you have a whole lot to question him about to try and see if there are any inconsistencies. Then we're going to need some brand new information to compare with what he tells us.
We were just out at the party. I was with her mom and her sister. We all was there together. She said she didn't feel well. Her neck was hurting and she was gonna go home.
We was at the party house. We left there. She gave me a ride home. And that's about it.
Was she talking to anybody when you guys were getting ready to pull off?
When you are picturing in your head seeing Jeanette walk to her car, did she talk to any other man?
No.
Okay.
I didn't see nobody come up to the car. Now, was somebody there that might have followed her and followed her home?
Yeah.
That's possible.
You were one of the children in the house that night, correct?
It was me, my cousin Jaretha, and my cousin Rashida. We was upstairs. We heard her talking to somebody, but we don't know who she was talking to. Mom was on the couch sleep. So nobody knew anything. Go to sleep, wake up, and we never seen her again.
The only thing I know is that I was the babysitter, and I stayed at home with all the kids.
Does the name Lionel Thomas ring any bells for you?
I know she used to go with him, yes.
In the days where y'all realized Jeanette was missing, did Lionel come around wondering where she was?
Not to my knowledge.
Was he around pretty regularly before that?
Yeah.
He would always show up places where we was at. It went together when he came, and she said that she invited him, so I think sometimes he used to just, when he got off work, he just watched him.
Were they on at that point, or was it kind of a on and off?
It was probably off in her man, but not his.
Lionel's weird.
Yeah.
Weird how? Like, is he...
He's creepy. I've never even liked being around him. He's weird.
We have not found a lot of people that have any kind of big extra information that we can use to confront Lionel with. That's not great, but on the other hand, we also have run into nobody who can say that they saw Jeanette leave with anybody else or anything else that would give us some clue that there's an unknown suspect involved in all this.
So we're going to be meeting with Jaretha at the location. The house no longer standing, so she can lay out the house for us, where the window was, where she's stating that she saw her mom from.
Now that we believe that Jeanette was shot to death and her assailant was likely waiting for her at home, we want to re-examine what we know of her final minutes firsthand. So we've asked her daughter, Jaretha, who was there, to help us do that. Hello, Miss Jaretha.
Good morning, everyone.
How are you?
You know you got to get the first hug. My heart is racing. If I can put your hand on top of my heart, it's beating hard because I have not been in this area in almost 20 years. That area right there is the living room, big picture window. So it had to been, I would say, after 3, we hear my mom's car pull up. Us girls run to the bathroom window. We see her. She gets out her car. As she walked away, we could still see her. Now we can't see her.
Because of the corner of the house.
Because of the corner and all
Part
that.
of the house, okay.
So now we hear the keys.
You hear the keys going in the lock over here, right? You hear the keys. I thought he had to catch her right here, but he could have caught her over there, right?
I think he wants to catch her off guard.
I do too.
He, if this is Lionel, is at some point coming up and making contact with her, but she continues onto the front porch, and maybe he's trying to talk to her as they're walking up.
That's exactly what she would have
You know
done.
what I mean?
How does she go quietly without an argument or a loud voice or a protest getting in the car?
I guess just more talking to her, you know, let's talk it out, let's go for a drive.
You don't think with a gun?
If she's got keys in the door, even with a gun in your face, you might try to make that quick in to the house, or voices will be raised a little bit.
Did you see his car at all?
No.
No. I just don't think he drove here.
I think he walked down here and they took her car.
Straight shot.
Yeah, I think he did.
How far is it?
5-6 blocks up.
6 blocks straight up?
So our main suspect, Lionel, in theory, could have easily walked from his house to Jeanette's because he only lived a few blocks away, talked to her, got her into the car, drove her to the field, killed her, and then drove the vehicle back to Jeanette's house and simply walked home. And that would account for why Jeanette's car had been moved from the alley where the kids initially saw it to where it was found the next morning, parked in front of the house.
Her car was parked here, along right here, and her keys were still in the ignition.
If it's a random person, why are they even bringing the car back?
Right.
They don't care.
Not at all.
So then the drive from here to the location is?
Like 18 miles.
Okay. Can we go do that now to
Sure.
get an appreciation of that? With Jaretha's help today and seeing the house, I think the way it had to have happened so quickly, so voluntarily, there's no way that it's going to be a random person stalking her that abducts her. That doesn't make any sense. Because why would they bring her car back? It's a long drive to wait to get her to have a chit-chat, right? It's like the chit-chat should have already happened. It almost makes me feel like it happened before now, and you're driving out here just to dump her. Okay, we get here and her remains are where?
Down this path and out into an open field.
So we still got a ways to walk?
A little bit.
Let's go look. It says deer hunters out here that found her 2 months later.
Yeah. Based on the reports, when they located the body, it's right here.
It was just in a shallow grave, right?
Yeah.
And if the killing is with a gun, the passenger could be holding the gun to force her to drive this far deep back here, and then they get out of the car and then it happens?
Yeah. If you shoot somebody in the head inside of a car, you're going to get spatter.
Probably right where she was laying down is where at least the gunshots happened close to there.
I don't see that woman who is pretty feisty and tough just driving out here in the middle of nowhere on a moonlit night to have a chit-chat with a man she's already broken up with several times probably, and she's tired of his
We don't 100% know for sure that the gunshots were what killed her. The gunshots could be just to be sure.
Yeah.
Dr. Paneri said that you could still have a strangulation. So if you were pleading this case, you would plead it gunshot wound, strangulation, unknown manner and means. You put them all three in there. It makes sense that Lionel could have coaxed Jeanette into going for a ride with him in her car. That would explain that cigarette that's burnt up that Jaretha found in the ashtray the next day. But all the way out here, and sure, Lionel could have returned Jeanette's car and then walked home, but we don't have any evidence putting him with a gun. If Lionel killed Jeanette, we're not feeling strong enough yet in what we have.
She's here.
Okay. 2 years ago, Detective Anderson actually asked for the public's help in searching the field where Jeanette was found. But the actual reason for that search was to see if any of the people that the police department identified as suspects would show up and what their reactions would be to that search.
And if you just want to have a seat in the far chair?
Sure. The woman who helped plan the search actually saw Lionel Thomas at the scene and talked to him. So it's important for us to interview her to see what she observed.
We had talked before the search. You knew it was like a ruse search, like it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. You actually had conversation with one of our suspects.
Yeah, so we went to the site, and I remember pulling up, and there was a lot of family. Jaretha was there, and there was some non-family people in the community that had come to join. And then there was a guy who was walking really slow. He was an older guy. He ended up walking with me, and I said, you know, have you been here before? He said, yeah, I've been here many times. He said he was a photographer back then, and that there was weddings back there, and they would do pictures. All of a sudden, I'm getting alerted, like, we knew that one of the suspects might actually be there, that might have actually done something to Jeanette Johnson. It's all kind of hitting me, and he turned around and pointed, you know, back towards the area that I knew that you had told me that she had been somewhere back there. He placed himself there, and it was almost like he was remembering, you know. Yeah.
One of the things law enforcement looks at anytime they find the victim's body is this the comfort zone for the suspect? So what we want to do in this case is talk to Lionel to see if he's ever been there before. And if he contradicts that, that's clearly something we want to confront him about.
Thank you so much for coming in.
And right now we got our DNA results.
Yes, sounds like it.
We always try to find evidence that where remains are found connects back to the suspect, familiarity with the area of the remains, which Gia does beautifully here. But we can't put him there the night of. Maybe DNA can help us do that. We're hoping that at some point she reached up and scratched who killed her.
Mm-hmm.
And if they strangled her, the likelihood of that goes up. But dang, her fingernails were sitting out there in the woods for 2 months. All those years ago.
Yeah.
Caitlin Hogan speaking.
Hi, Caitlin. This is Logan Anderson, Kankakee City Police Department. We're just calling for a update on the DNA analysis.
Yes. For item 1, right little fingernail, no human DNA was detected. Item 2, right ring fingernail, no human DNA was detected. Item 3, right index fingernail, no human DNA was detected. Item 4, right middle fingernail, no human DNA was detected.
Okay.
Thank you for trying.
I'm guessing it's mainly just the condition the fingernails were in.
Yeah, they were out in the elements for a couple months. It's not surprising the negative on DNA. Thank you, Caitlin.
No problem. Bye.
Okay. Everybody probably thought that was going to happen that way, right?
Yeah.
So, keeping it real, what we know right now and can prove is that on the night Jeanette was last seen alive, she leaves the party house, and our witnesses to those events right there, which is the meat of the case, are Charlene Sessions.
She said she didn't feel well. Her neck was hurting and she was going to go home.
Patricia Prude.
We left there. She gave me a ride home. And that's about it.
And Jaretha. That's it.
The last time he came, and I told him, no, she hadn't made it home yet. Nobody made it from the party yet. And he was like, okay, I'll come back and check. No more Lionel. Never came back to the house.
And then whatever Lionel Thomas says, please let him talk, is not just huge, but critically necessary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I don't want to put any pressure on you, but we need some help on this case.
We're fine. Just
You can't possibly think that sitting here right now we're fine on this case.
the homicide gods, I can feel it.
Good.
They're on our side.
You can pray to your homicide gods a lot, because you need some help this morning when y'all go knock on Lionel's door.
This case basically rests on what Lionel's going to tell us. We don't have enough to indict him right now or charge him with a crime, let's face it. A lot of evidence here points to him, but it doesn't exactly eliminate other suspects.
Ooh, good morning.
I don't think he's ever been gone after hard, and we're going to try that now and see what his reaction is. If Lionel killed Jeanette, we need him to make a slip-up, an admission, hopefully a confession, which is very difficult to get.
The game plan is open-ended questions. You know, what do you think happened? What do you remember? And then get into the details of the case with him.
Do you care if we park a block or so away and listen?
No, that's perfect.
All right, well, we'll follow you.
All right. Hey, Mr. Thomas.
Hey, how you doing?
We can talk out here if you want. That's fine.
You don't think he'll look out his rear mirror and see us sitting here, do you?
Appreciate you. So, the reason I wanted to talk to you is because, I mean, you know this is about Jeanette, right? Jet?
No, I didn't know who it was.
Oh, okay. You were kind of central in her life during the time that she went missing. So you guys were dating it during that time period?
Yeah, off and
on?
Off and on.
So you still had a lot of feelings for her, right?
Oh, yeah. She was my first love, yeah.
She apparently didn't just wanted to move on or didn't want to get married or hook up, right?
Right. She just didn't want to be involved with me at that time.
What can you remember from when she went missing?
We went out that night. I left early, came home, she stayed at the bar.
Which bar are you talking about? Where party house?
And when she didn't call me, I went back down to her house.
What do you think?
If he was at the party house with all them, anybody in that family would have said they seen him there. Nobody has.
What time do you think you went back down to her house?
It had to be 1:30 or something like that.
How many times did you go over to that house looking for her that night, sir?
Just once.
Just once? You're at that house not one time at night, but at least 3 times at night. People saw you there. Is that true?
No.
Not at all. And you were going over there to talk to her about what?
See if she had made it.
Okay. Couldn't have called her?
I did call her.
You did, and?
Didn't get an answer.
Didn't even see you walked over there.
Yeah, we didn't have cell phones back then.
So they walked over, that's good.
I went and knocked on the door and asked Jerika, is her mom home yet? She said no.
And then when you were walking off?
I seen a car pull up to her, drive, and then it pulled off.
Did it pull up into the front? Did it stop?
Pulled up in the alley.
Pulled up in the alley. And where were you standing, sir?
I was across the street.
Did you try to follow that car that night?
No.
No?
I was standing by my car, so no, I didn't.
I thought you just said he walked over.
I went over our house the next day because we were supposed to go to the Shaka Khan concert.
And she wasn't there?
Did you ever go out and look for her?
Yes. Everywhere that there was a search party, I was in it.
At some point, they got to bring up the search and what he said and all that.
And you took pictures, right?
I did weddings.
How about any weddings out in Pembroke, Hopkins Park area?
No, I didn't do any out there. Well, yes, I did. I did one out there. Couldn't think about it.
When we went out for the search, was it close to where the search was at?
No, it's on the other side.
It was on the other side. Had you ever been out to that area where we did the search prior to us going out there?
No.
You went the opposite of what he told Gia?
Well, yeah.
The day of the search, you had a conversation with an individual, and during that conversation, you said that you were very familiar with the area and that you'd been out there before, out in that field behind the Bible Witness Camp.
I never took photos of weddings behind it.
Well, why would some random person who doesn't know anything about the case
I have no idea.
tell me that you said that?
Were you angry with her, sir?
No, I have no reason to be angry.
You wrote her some letters. Do you remember writing her those letters?
No.
You remember these? This one's an 82, talking about her being with other guys. He's turning you down. You're an evil woman with a cold heart, if you meant half of what you said. You remember writing that?
No.
We believe that something happened that night. Argument. She doesn't want to see you anymore at all.
You go down there at least 3 times to check in on her.
I don't know if I was there 3 times, but
Now you don't know if you were there 3 times. You said before that you were there once.
I think I was only there once. But you keep saying I was there 3 times.
I'm not saying it. The family's saying it. So the last time you go over there, what happens then? Do you finally meet up with her? You guys have a conversation? Maybe go for a drive?
Who else in the world would have taken her out there, killed her, and then parked her car back in front of their house? Near your house.
That's what's got me baffled and confounded also. I have no idea. She was loved by everybody that I know. So I have no idea why this happened.
What you thinking?
He's fuzzy on some details, but 30 years later, we're going off the words of kids.
He's not stupid either.
No, he's smart.
But right now, sitting here and listening to him trying to be objective, he sounds pretty dang good. He hasn't made any huge mistakes at all.
You understand why we're looking at you, though?
I do understand that. I'm pretty glad that you're looking at me, still looking for somebody.
We are.
But I am not him. I am not him. at all.
Lionel's whole story is basically got small contradictions in it, but there's no major shifts in his story, which is problematic for a prosecution standpoint.
Never got angry, not one time.
Oh, never even raised his voice. When we accuse Lionel of the homicide itself, he's just a flat line. Think about this. We've all been accused of doing something we didn't do in life, and you get angry about it at some point. Killing somebody and staying at that flat line, come on, we're not asking if you backed into your neighbor's car. We're talking to you about killing somebody you love.
Y'all threw everything at him. What do you think?
The story just doesn't add up with everything that everybody else is saying.
My problem is I went there one time, and we got a 10-year-old kid, her daughter saying 3 times, and that's it.
Something happens at night that sets him off. Whether she doesn't want to go to the concert, something. He even writes her a letter. That's his goodbye to her.
And you think he writes it after it's done? That letter?
I think so, yeah.
Let's go look at that letter again.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go do that now, if that's okay.
All right.
We know that whatever happened to Jeanette happened in minutes. And in the whole wide world, the only human being on this planet that was looking for her that very night was Lionel Thomas. But when he talked today and he didn't lawyer up and he didn't get upset, he represented himself very well. So what do we do with all that right now? I don't know. There's one of those letters in particular that y'all are thinking he wrote right close to when she went missing, huh?
Yeah.
Read that one again, Logan.
Dear Jeanette, sorry if I offended you last night by showing up at your house. I came by to take you to the concert, but you weren't at home. I went by several other places, but no one's seen you. I guess this is a message to me to get lost. Once again, sorry for invading your privacy, Lionel.
He wrote that then on Sunday, because if he came back from the concert, that would have been Saturday.
Yeah.
Right? So you're thinking he wrote that Sunday as a cover-up letter.
Almost every single person in the family said he never came back the next day.
On Saturday.
He never came back to
because-
see if he should
right.
go to the concert.
Yeah.
He could have gone back over there on Saturday, and the mother answered the door, and she's dead.
He didn't say that.
Well, he doesn't have to say that. I mean, we all know that he's creeping around because he's jealous, and he wants to make sure she's still going to go out with him Saturday nights. That's what works with our timing of her being snatched up so quickly and quietly and easily right there on the front steps of her house.
Mm-hmm.
All that works and points at Lionel. But why would he go knocking on her door? If her car's not there, he knows she's not home.
She's not home.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Morning.
Good morning, guys. How y'all feeling?
Good.
Let's see what everybody thinks about where Jeanette's case stands and what we have. As a cold case investigator and prosecutor, the most important thing y'all got to remember is it's not what you think, it's what you can prove in the courtroom. We've spoken to every living witness we can find, and we've spoken to our suspect, Lionel Thomas. But do we have enough evidence to establish probable cause to move forward with an arrest? The whole state of their relationship, how was it really going between Jeanette and Lionel?
I think it was on and off. On that night, I think it was off.
Did we find anybody that disagrees with that? Not even Lionel.
She just didn't want to be involved with me at that time.
What did we find out as far as his jealousy?
He shows up when she's out places.
He would always show up places where we was at. It went together when he came, so I think sometimes we just watched him.
And on this night, she's at her party with her people and he's not invited. What does Jaretha say he does that night?
He comes by the place 3 times.
He's so desperate at 2 in the morning, he's still knocking on the door, wanting to know where she is.
Yeah.
He's losing her. It's ending. And I don't know what happens that night if she finally decides this is the line in the sand and it goes bad. He's the one that can get her into a car without a struggle.
If it's a random stranger that abducts her, why are they bringing her car back home?
Her car was parked here, along right here, and her keys were still in ignition.
It's a straight shot from his house to hers down one road, 5 to 6 blocks, and it would be nothing for him to walk right back home after he's done bringing the car back.
But he forgot the fact that everybody knows she always parks in the alley. And then you have the little odd things that happen when you do your mock search in 2021.
Lionel tells Gia Marie Wright that he's familiar with that area.
He said he was a photographer and that there was weddings back there and they would do pictures.
It's a 38-year-old case, so we always knew it was going to be a hard one. Do you believe that you have enough to try and convince your prosecutor to move forward with prosecuting this case?
I think as far as probable cause, I think it falls short of the threshold.
I don't think we can prove it yet.
I agree with you. It is awfully thin. I mean, there's circumstantial evidence there. I don't think you're going to get over the guilt beyond a reasonable doubt right now.
It's really hard in a case like this where you don't have enough for probable cause or to try and get a DA to want to move forward.
We can still keep working it.
There's always that slim chance of somebody calling in after hearing about us knocking on doors.
You never know. You never know.
One day something could come along to make this case a whole lot better. That's what we all hope for. We're just very frustrated that today we did not get there. And now we have to break that to her daughter.
Hey, Jerita.
Hello, Detective Anderson.
You're the whole reason that this thing kicked off. Now, you made that post on Facebook. I didn't like it.
I know. Well, it wasn't for you to like.
I get it. And, you know, I think there's a whole lot more dedicated people at the Kankakee City Police Department today than there ever has been. We made a lot of headway this week. We were able to talk to Lionel. And some of the things that he said just don't coincide with everyone else's story. Unfortunately, I don't think we've met the threshold to file charges against him at this time.
Okay.
But that does not mean anything is over. And circumstantially, a lot points to Lionel.
We will not be having any arrests at this moment. That's okay. No, that's okay. My mother wouldn't have gave up on us, so I couldn't give up on her. But my journey here has stopped. We will always have memories of my mom. Her candle light will never be blown out, but it will be not a heavy weight. It won't be a heavy burden.
Wherever we went and all the doors that we knocked on for your mom's case, everybody was so excited that that was happening.
Yeah.
And now they're all going to know that it was all because of you. You've lived with this your whole life. It's time for you to live your life.
Yes, ma'am.
Quit carrying this burden and this responsibility and this worry. Let it go to him.
My storm is over.
Good.
My grandmother prayed, we prayed. And our last prayers was, if they would bring someone in on this case and that had fresh eyes and all that, and they brought Detective, God blessed us with Detective Anderson. I can't thank you enough, Detective Anderson. You have a friend in me for life, and I thank you. I love this end. I love this end. I'm not walking away crying.
Amen. It's because of Jerita that we came to Kankakee and got all this stirred up again and got her mom's murder case closer to being solved than ever.
It ain't over.